So at this time, we're going to welcome Antonio Correa, Senior RVP, Southern Europe, Caribbean, and Latin America for Mavenir. And he's going to be telling us about modernizing to withstand the test of time. Over to you, Antonio.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, hello. I promise I'm going to be short. I have a very short presentation, but it's going to be very productive, I hope, for developing the Caribbean economy. Okay? Can you hear me well? Okay. My name is Antonio Correa. I just came from Europe. I've been there for 15 years. But I'm originally from this region. I've been working in the Caribbean and Latin American region for another 15 years. Working in the past with Nortel, with Lucen, Alcatel-Lucen, and now with Mavenir. But before I start, just based on the feedback I received for the last 2 days, just let's put in perspective the telco sector vendors. There are 5 vendors worldwide that provide end-to-end solution in the telco sector. There are 2 Europeans that you know, Nokia, Ericsson. There are 2 Chinese, Huawei, CT. There is 1 American end-to-end telco provider, which is Mavenir. So we are a portfolio that can fulfill end-to-end solution. So with that, let me start. And when we think about the Caribbean, for the rest of the world, this is what we think about as beaches, as weather, have fun. But we are here to talk about the Caribbean economy. I want to provide you a global perspective and bring ideas that you can actually apply in the Caribbean. And of course, focus on the telco sector. How can we modernize the network? So the Caribbean is a very different region to any other region in the world. You have the CANTO members have big responsibilities, big challenges, because you have big islands with a very large population, more than 11, 12 million population. But at the same time, you have countries, islands with less than 5,000. This is even increased challenges when you add the visitors. You have air and cruise ships arriving that in some cases, particularly the small island, can multiply the people in the island for 5, 10 times. And this had a big impact also into the economic Caribbean nowadays. So we have a GDP. Perhaps in the Caribbean, you have one of the highest ARPU, or highest GDP per capita in the world. And you have also at the same time in the same region, the Caribbean region, one of the lowest ARPU. So that brings challenges, so one no recipe fit to everything. And of course, this affects the telco ARPU. I can say there is one common denominator that you still enjoy nowadays, which is the ARPU in the Caribbean is still high compared to other places in the world. You look into Latin America, ARPUs are mostly in all countries below $10. If you look into India region, for example, ARPU could be like $2 or even less. So with that, let me just compare this Caribbean economy with the global economy to put into perspective. You have seen for the last 50 years the visitors visiting or traveling and visiting Caribbean compared to the global trend. It has been growing continuously. So this is a trend, except during COVID times, which is a few years back, where we have actually big lessons learned that affected not only the Caribbean economy that relies a lot on tourism, but also affect governments, how to react, the importance of the telco infrastructure to actually provide the facilities to address those communication to the people, to keep a student connected to the institutions, to keep the industry producing and active during those remote times that we all suffered. So looking into the Caribbean economy, I can say that out of the 26 islands, at least half of those, have more like 40% GDP depending on the tourism. If we compare that to the world, there is a statistic that by the end of next year, 50% of the global GDP will come from or will be generated by digital economy that you have been listening a lot during the last couple of days. So just to put into common language to everybody, I like to simplify it for you to remember easily. So 4 letters, A, B, C, D. A stands for artificial intelligence, machine learning, that you have heard a lot, which is very important because this brings also automation into the telco sector. B stands for big data. Big data, data is the new gold that we have. When I was a child, I remember the GDP of a country was relying on natural resources. So you had gold, you have oil and gas, that is also people in the Caribbean. You have natural resources like beaches. You can attract tourism to actually develop your economy. Now the new goal is data, but you need to bring intelligence in order to modernize it. C is for cloud computing. So all this infrastructure, all this software, because digital economy relies on software, people developing intangible assets is not a natural resource, a natural capital. This needs to go to cloud computing. And last one is digital infrastructure. And I want to focus on digital infrastructure because this is the base for all of the above. So digital economy can continue to be developed if we have the right, proper digital infrastructure, which is important. And this is where all the government are putting a lot of focus, and this is the reason why. This 50% global GDP relies on deploying a good digital infrastructure. So this is not just 5G, but all together with those, what they call innovating platforms that are creating this accelerated growth that you can see in the economic growth that is happening around the globe. So looking into the telco sector in the Caribbean, you benefit 20 plus years ago introducing 2G, 3G. And you saw the economic growth at that time because of voice, because some data, messaging, international call roamings, you have a lot of visitors, so that creates some wealth. But looking into this region, there is a local complaint. This economic growth flattened or actually disappeared because of the OTTs that you heard also this morning. And there is little investment into 4G. They put 4G, of course, you can get video, you can have high definition or high quality voice, but there is little investment there. And that had not incorporated into the Caribbean market yet, with some extensions, as you heard from cable and wireless, but moving into 5G, voice continue to be an asset that you have, so we will need to do some investment also into VoLTE or 4G moving forward. So again, let me focus on 5G and cloud and AI to increase digital productivity. I put this hurricane storm happening because Caribbean is very familiar with this situation that happens every year, and we just suffered with Hurricane Beryl recently. So this is also happening in the telco sector, and that's why governments and regulators are actually putting a lot of focus. If in the Caribbean this investment is frozen, in the rest of the world is not. Actually, the European Union, America, China, I mean, they are putting a lot of focus on creating this battle or this storm between countries to make sure that the countries develop and succeed moving into 5G. Why? Because this is what I said before, the base of the digital economy. So looking into the logo of CANTO, our digital economic growth, I would like to highlight, because of these recent activities in terms of digital economy, we have already achieved at the end of last year, in 2023, 46% of contribution to the GDP. That represents 41 trillion US dollars coming from 51 countries based on those technologies. Last couple of words. We have been already into 5G worldwide more than 6 years. We are already talking about 6G. And now, very surprised Caribbean, I've been visiting the region, is still doing investments in 3G. 3G is already sunset. It's already shut off in several big countries. Why? Because from all the Gs, 3G is the most expensive to produce or to manage traffic data voice. So they sunset first 3G. They have plans already to sunset 2G in the next few years. They are keeping 2G just because of maybe some terminals that is still keeping for roaming voice or even for IoT. But the intention is to sunset 2G. because from all the nowadays, 5G is the one that actually brings all the benefits, the lower cost. We had a conversation with the CTO in India recently, one of the largest operators in India, where I said the ARPU is $2. And he said they are deploying, as you can see in the news, 5G massively in India. Why? Because that's bringing the broadband. They are leapfrog from the fiber to mobile fiber with 5G, because 5G has the capabilities to actually make it happen. And they also, this city also mentioned, they did an analysis, and the way that they have deployed, they actually found the only way for them to increase economic value is if they have such a low ARPU, if they reduce the cost with 5G, they actually increase their margins. And that's how they're doing. So this is a big lesson learned that actually 5G, as I said, it brings the lowest cost per bit in the industry nowadays, where they're putting that. So where are we with 5G today? Those are statistics from GSMA that you may have seen also this morning. We already achieved in 5 years 1.5 billion. Within 4G took 9 years. We already had more than 300 networks live. We had almost 40% of the 5G global population covered. But there are some challenges that you have been listening Sunday, Monday, this morning. And I'm very glad that before me this morning, there was a representative from different countries talking about this. So let me highlight a couple of those ones that I have in my presentation. So the European government is actually putting a lot of focus and effort and actually funds or grants that they are giving to universities, to institutions, to startups to attract local talent to develop this software. Because whatever they develop for these open architectures, together with Open RAN, together with AI, together with this digital economy, not only serve the local government that is giving the funds, not only serving the local country, but this technology can apply worldwide. So that's why the economy is growing so fast in this area. Same with the US. You have heard other representatives here today. Government, US is making sure that the new networks deployed in 5G are open, which by default, by the standard, has to be open. I'm glad that Mavenir is a big promoter from day one of open architecture. We are very well recognized because of Open RAN. But I'm glad governments are pushing that, making sure that the architectures moving forward are open, because that brings competition, that brings new developers, that brings a new application that you can benefit from. Making sure that those networks are open and are also secure. And we have, as I said, Mavenir is leading on the open solutions. I'm glad that Nokia also announced it and Ericsson announced it last year to move into that direction. So they said 5G cannot happen if you continue to have a vertical siloed application. If you have a country that you want to increase competition, you have to split it north and south. You give one side of the country to one vendor, one side of the country to another vendor. With a horizontal approach, you can actually mix and match, and that's what actually Open RAN is happening. Okay? 2 examples in countries in Latin America. You heard Anatel this morning from Brazil. They actually changed the cost of the spectrum to actually having incentivizing the operators to give rural coverage, because that's important. That brings wealth to the country. Mexico, you also heard one is perhaps one of the examples that actually brings one of the most expensive spectrum air that the operators are having, and that's preventing to the evolution into 5G. Let me accelerate. I'm looking to CANTO. This is congratulations to CANTO. You achieved more than 600 participants into this event, and mostly distributed between MNOs and governments, some vendors and other participants. But if you look into the MNOs that are government-owned, actually the majority is government institution regulators, that you have great responsibilities also to act into that direction. And the topic that we have been discussing, that resonates with Barcelona, with all the announcements on AI, everybody's talking about that. At the end of February, also CANTO Connect was talking about the same topic, but I was surprised seeing news like this: no money for 5G. So everything that I've been saying, so no money, no digital infrastructure, no digital sustainable growth. Okay. So just to contribute some ideas, what is happening in the rest of the world, and you can benefit from this. So policy focus needs to change from use as consumption, what you used to be, what you continue to do in the 2G, 3G world. You need to go to data monetization. You need to actually get value into the data. You produce a lot of valid data that the OTTs are using. You should actually benefit from that. Second one is digital productivity. As I said, fixed wireless access is one of the proven use cases that actually you can monetize. It's very easy for the Caribbean, instead of laying out fiber, to actually use wireless connections instead of digging into very hard rocks in the coral. There are a lot of government or educational or application already developed that you can also benefit from there. And CANTO had the responsibility of the oral analysis, the GSMS is promoting all of that. To conclude, a couple of words about Mavenir, but I have to say, all of these initiatives that Mavenir is promoting is because the worldwide internet was born open. It's already open. And because of that, all the applications, all the Androids, all the Apple Store is open by definition. There is no question now that all the infrastructures that go to the data centers is open. You want to lay down all the applications in the telco world, all the core, security, VAS, goes into a standard cross hardware. The only thing that was not open was the RAN. And RAN consume like 80% of your CapEx and OpEx. So that's why Open RAN is becoming so popular in the market. That Mavenir is doing. All our portfolio that you have in the middle here, we provide end-to-end solution with open architecture, open core, open RAN. Okay? With this, you want to promote modernization in the sector, you can rely on Mavenir to modernize the core, to introduce Open RAN, to introduce competition. I like competition. We are, as I said, US-based company, fully supported with trusted architecture. And last message, you have the assets. You need to bring the people that will enable this digital productivity, but you need to give them the tools. Other countries are promoting those golden visas with some tax incentives. You have the asset to actually attract people, but you need to enable them by providing broadband. If they are connected, they can work from any place in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Antonio. 5G plus AI leads to a better life and productivity. We have to have our people connected. Another round of applause for Antonio Correa, Senior RVP, Southern Europe, Caribbean, and Latin America for Mavenir.